Hello again. This is Marc Luc Carrier with the 11th installment of readings from an unpublished novel called Fakes, soon to be published. Now, our hapless anti hero, Dr. Fanshawe, has been told that he must go to a high school and address a class of students and initiate them to fine art. So he does so, and without further ado, this is how it goes. A disaster, as usual. I was greeted in the entrance hall of the Paula Abdul Senior High School by the principal, a Miss Slocum, a tall, rather large lady with a winning smile and a breezy manner. There are Miss Slocums all over the world running schools. Ah, you must be Festernaut, she said, reaching out a hand to shake mine. Fanshawe, I said. Well, Fanshawe to you too. No, my name is pronounced Fanshawe. She considered the small index card on which my name had been written and said, well, I never. Then, smiling, would you be kind enough to follow me, Mr. Fanshawe? She guided me through a thick crowd of adolescents, and without missing a step or slowing down, she shouted admonitions like, throw away that gum, Rutherford. Don't run, Simpson. And to me, we had a stuntman scheduled to address the class, but he had to desist at the last minute. Stunt went wrong, did it? I asked. No, poor man injured himself playing mahjong. Ah, yes, that can be a dangerous game. Yes, indeed. My attempt at humor went unappreciated. It can, Mr. Fanshawe. It can be. She opened the door to a classroom, called for silence, and introduced me. Mr. Fanshawe will be addressing you today about art, and I'm sure we will all find it very interesting and enlightening, won't we, William? William was a lanky youth with a pimply face who sat in the back and appeared to be listening to music on his iPod. He rolled his eyes when Miss Slocum addressed him. The rest of the class appeared equally disinterested. Much to my horror, Miss Slocum abandoned me to these barbarians. I hemmed and hawed a bit, then I consulted my notes. Now, boys and girls, this caused a collective groan. I corrected myself. Of course, I should address you as young ladies and gentlemen. More groans. I continued nonetheless. Can anyone give me their definition of art? William, the pimpled iPod listener, shot up his arm. Ah, I thought to myself, perhaps the youth is salvageable. I pointed to him. Yes, William. He stayed seated and slouched as he said, "Do you ever get really scared when you're about to jump off a building?" Uh, what an odd question, I thought. I stood in silence, quite perplexed, as some 40 pairs of eyes looked at me with anticipation. I don't make a habit of jumping off buildings, I finally said, so I wouldn't know, although I can well imagine that I would indeed be quite scared. William spoke again. Okay, so what about when you have to drive a car smack into a brick wall? That must be scary as shit, no? Yes, I said. Again, my experience of driving into brick walls is rather limited. And as I finished saying this, it suddenly dawned on me. They thought I was a stuntman. They'd obviously not heard a word of Miss Slocum's explaining that I was here to talk about art. So I reminded them. The stuntman couldn't make it, and I'm here to talk about art. A young girl in the front row spoke. Isn't being a stuntman like a type of art? Well, no, I said, I don't think you can say that. A loud protest from the entire class, and William shouted, What you got against stuntmen? I've got nothing against them, I said. Because, said the girl in the front row, I think being a stuntman is like being an artist. I quite agree, I said, unprepared to raise the ire of this horde. And dress designers, they're artists. Rumbles of agreement from the crowd. Yes, I agreed, in total barefaced hypocrisy. Dress designers are most certainly artists. The class started throwing out suggestions of their own. Rock stars, roller skaters, Olympic athletes, basketball players. They were all artists, according to these kids. I agreed to it all in search of peace. They had to be appeased at all cost. I thought to myself, seeing myself as the Neville Chamberlain of the Paula Abdul Senior High School, waving about a written declaration saying that everyone in the world is an artist. When the novelty of this polemic wore off, the class became quiet. I said, "Good now, let's look at some of the works of what we conventionally refer to as artists." I'd set up my laptop with a small digital projector. I clicked a key and my visual presentation began with Goya's Nude Maya, which caused a ripple of giggles to run through the group. This, I explained, is Goya's celebration of the nude female form, not unlike, some 60 years later, the treatment given by Manet to the same subject. I clicked a key and Manet's Olympia appeared on the screen, only to be greeted by loud catcalls and wolf whistles from the class. Or indeed, I shouted above the deafening ruckus, abstract expressionism's spin on the nude body, as in William de Kooning's Woman 3. Work appeared on the screen. William jumped to his feet. "Wow, man, that babe's been in an accident for sure." "No, you see," I began, pushing forward to Benefit Supervisor Sleeping by Lucian Freud. "Ugly," someone shouted. "Put your clothes back on, honey," someone else contributed. At that very moment, Miss Slocum opened the door, alerted no doubt by all the noise. "Is everything all right, Mr. Fanbelt?" "That's Fanshawe," I said, "and yes, everything is fine. Just a bit of high spirits and enthusiasm." I gave a wholly unconvincing little laugh. In truth, I was deathly afraid of these hooligans. Miss Slocum smiled and began closing the door. When a kid shouted, "He's showing us dirty pictures, man," there was a soft murmur of approval from the class. "Surely not," said Miss Slocum again, starting to close the door to leave until someone else shouted, "Yes, miss, he's showing us bare-naked starker ladies." "Pornography," William contributed. I would hardly refer to Goya, Manet, and Freud as pornographers, I said, outraged. Miss Slocum smiled and faded. "Mr. Fanshawe, whatever. Can you please let me take a look at what you've been showing these children?" "Gladly." I flicked through Goya's Nude Maya, Manet's Olympia, and Freud's Fat Lady on the sofa, and I watched in horror as Miss Slocum's face sagged into greater and greater discomfiture. "This is totally inappropriate." "Dear madam," I said, "this is Lucian Freud." "I'm quite certain his name was Sigmund," she hissed in a low voice, making an effort to keep the class from hearing what she was saying. "In any event, all this psychoanalysis garbage and wanting to sleep with your mother—" "I've never had the slightest desire to sleep with my mother," I protested. "The very idea." So, Mr. Fanbelt Fanten, a.k.a. Fanshawe, has gotten himself into trouble again. He seems to have a tremendous proclivity for getting himself into trouble. Some people like that. Before we go, barefaced plug for my novel, Homing, available just about everywhere. Amazon, all over the world, Barnes & Noble, Indigo, Google Books, Apple Books, you name it. And it's available in ebook, paperback, or hardback. It's a good read. A lot of people say so. Anyway, that's it for today. And we'll see you shortly with installment number 12, an even dozen. How about that? Goodbye.